transmissions detected. Kill them all.
Shall we play a game?
Sam Shoemate, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm nervous about this one.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really nervous about this one. You're here today because of an email you received from Matthew Livelsberger a couple of days before the Cybertruck bombing at Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. You'll also be able to discuss what you know about the terrorists who conducted the New Orleans attack. Did I miss anything?
No, that sums it up. Yeah. I get these messages all the time. People have this big story they want to tell. They want to expose their command, whatever. I take everything with a grain of salt until I have evidence and proof. So this guy is insistent. He tells me that he is a 18 Zulu who I've spoken to before, and he really needs to get this stuff to me. And then he talks about you. He says, I need you to get me in contact with Sean Ryan. I'm like, dude, I don't know Sean Ryan. I'm not that big, but he's insistent that I get him diverted to media sources, says go to Fox News, whatever else. And I said, all right, tell me what you got. So I give him my Proton email account, give him my signal number, and he reaches out immediately. And I'm going to read this initial message for you because this doesn't have names or anything else on it, but this was his message on Sunday. He reached out and said, like I said, this last Sunday, he said, sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're going to want to be involved. Well, first of all, no, I didn't want to be involved. Anyways, and then, so I didn't message. I responded back to his original Instagram message, and I said, hey, I got your message on Proton Mail, and he said, cool, delete this. So I deleted it. That's how I ended up getting this message on Tuesday. So the message that this right here, this manifesto, if you want to call it that, came in on Tuesday. And when I started reading this, my initial take was, okay, this is off the deep end. It's bonkers. I can't validate or verify any of the stuff in this manifesto. Mm-hmm. And I told him that in a subsequent email. And I'll read that to you later, my response to him. And once again, my response to him elicited, hey, get me in contact with Sean Ryan, Fox News, and he even said Pete Hegseth. Get me in contact with Hegseth. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the incoming Secretary of Defense's phone number. Sorry, bro. That's the last time I talked to him.
You want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPCEN, that's Operation Center, our OPCEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
You fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is a gravitic propulsion system?
To be honest with you, it is a fancy term you're going to find in science fiction. You won't find it in any, as far as I know, you won't find this in any kind of official manual or, scientific research. This is all science fiction. So, but what struck me is his use, what strikes me now, not then, but what strikes me now is his use of a very specific term that nobody else would call it. If you asked me, I would say an anti-gravity propulsion system. That's how I would describe it because I don't know this stuff. He said gravitic propulsion system.
We looked that up last night too, and all we could find was same thing, science fiction type stuff. This is from October 9th, 2019. UN report find alleged drug facilities were not lawful target airstrikes caused significant civilian casualties. The United Nations Special Report, which examines the impact on civilians of the United States airstrikes on alleged drug processing facilities on 5 May 2019 in Afghanistan, determines the operation caused a large number of civilian casualties. The report also examines the legal framework applicable to this incident. In June 2019, the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, together with representatives of the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission, conducted a site visit to areas impacted by the strikes in Farah Province, Bakwa District, as part of its extensive fact-finding into the 5 May incident. The UN verified 39 civilian casualties, among them 14 children, 1 woman, from multiple airstrikes on more than 60 sites that the United States Afghanistan identified as drug production facilities in Bakwa District and in parts of neighboring Delaram District of Nimruz Province. Moreover, the UN is working to verify credible reports of at least 37 additional civilian casualties, the majority of whom were women and children. Although airstrikes on the alleged drug processing facilities had taken place before, this was the first time that UNAMA had received reports of large number of civilian casualties resulting from such an operation. And it goes on. I'm not going to read all this. We'll link the article here. But so that 100% lines up.
On January 1st, after the bombing, after he was dead, his safety number changed. That's all he sent me. He said initial contact, and I gave a thumbs up, and his safety number changed at the bottom.
Look at that.
That's after he's dead. I don't know enough about Signal to know why that would happen. Somebody has to have manipulated that, though, and messed with it. Somebody had to have been in his account after the fact and done something for that to have changed. The thing he was trying to do was, overall, more than anything, was get a message across on the biggest platforms possible. He was trying to talk to Pete Hegseth. Why would you want to talk to the Secretary of Defense? He's trying to blow the whistle on these war crimes. He's trying to say this thing happened, man. Like, I can't live with this anymore. He desperately needed to talk to you, the biggest platform out there. He needed to talk to Fox News. I need to get this message out. That was his overall goal. In everything else, everything I've seen, I have not seen the intended goal was to kill himself or to create a mass casualty event. It is to get this message out. And how can I do that? What is the biggest bang for my buck? How can I get that done? That's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. It's a damn good point. I'm going to dig in a little bit more on this report from 2019. However, according to international humanitarian law, including international customary law, facilities that contribute economically or financially to the war effort or of a party to a conflict are considered civilian objectives. The report jointly produced by UNAMA and the UN Human Rights Office concludes that the drug facilities associated with workers may not be lawfully made the target of attack and should be protected. The United Nations maintains that considering these objectives and individuals legitimate targets dangerously erode the fundamental principle of distinction, placing the broader civilian population and infrastructure at risk. The report sets out a number of recommendations, including that the appropriate and legal response to illicit drug activity is through law enforcement, not military operations that endanger civilians.
Well, and here's the thing. We want to know why the DOD is scrambling on this, why the FBI pushed this to them so quickly, to CID all the way up to the very top. These are very, very serious allegations.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like UN level opening an investigation type stuff into alleged war crimes. This is no joke.
It did happen.
Yeah, the ripple effect is going to be massive on this.
It did happen.
There's a lot going on.
Was there something in that email again that said that this would prevent World War III with the UAP?
Well, it didn't say it would prevent World War III, but he was asking that, he said, you need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation.
I wonder what he's trying to do with these, what he's trying to tell us with these drones.
Oh man, I hesitate to even get into this realm because I have no expertise in drones or let's just call it alien technology, UFO technology, whatever's going on here. But here's one thing that I talked about with the guys downstairs earlier. Several weeks ago, I don't know if you saw that video. It was a New Jersey sheriff or chief of police. I can't remember which, but he flew their own drone up, their own department drone up to try to figure out what was going on. Because we had all these drone issues that were being cited off of New Jersey and everything. And what he commented on video was how fast these things were. He said, we have a pretty robust drone. And they flew it up there to try to catch these drones that were there. And they just, bam, they were gone. He said there was no catching them. Never seen anything like it. They don't even know, they have no idea what that could have been. And so you have this capability that is, I guess, in line with what we hear about anti-gravity being. And I don't know. It makes you wonder.
Nimitz?
It was in the Nimitz strike group in 2004.
Yeah, the Nimitz strike group in 2004 that reported those UAPs coming out of the water that had no propulsion system.
I remember that.
But, you know, and it's interesting that nobody seems to know what the drones are, and it just, you know, kind of disappeared out of the media.
But we had two solid sources, one south of the border and then one from an element within our own government that confirmed independently of each other that some Iranian-made manpads, so surface-to-air missiles, had come across the border. We had the location and everything else. Well, Doc, that's what he goes by, Doc Chambers, he put this out on a podcast, and I was very emphatic, like, this is not stuff that I like to put on social media. I'm an intel guy by trade. This stuff is not for social media consumption. We got this to Secret Service. We did the whole gamut and got everything pushed to them, and that's why Trump was pushing a lot of this stuff out when he was, because we had told the Secret Service and they had the reporting and everything else. But we have not, to my knowledge, have not recovered those man pads. Now, I'm not privy to that, but what I do know we have done is we have apprehended the couriers on a second run of theirs, and we have local law enforcement got together with federal law enforcement and rolled up the safe house in, I will not say that on this show, but they rolled up the safe house where it was, and we have since identified what that issue was on the border.
Now, let me just, where did they come through?
They came through an actual point of entry, in a legal point of entry along the border. I'd have to pull up the original reporting, but we had the actual.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many inside the United States?
That is not something you're going to see in a lot of places. Like I said, I didn't even want to talk about it. It was one of those things where I was just amplifying what he was putting out already, because I was like, man, I don't know about putting this out. But it was something we found was pertinent, because at the time, Trump was still campaigning. He was flying around, and there was the reports were their intent was to take down Trump's airplane. So at the time, Secret Service switched things up a bit, and allegedly, from what I've told, they started flying him around on charters for a while until they could identify and kind of mitigate that threat. But that was the reporting stream that was coming out at the time. Feds handled it, off my plate.
Now we have the New Orleans attack. We have Iranian missiles. We have these invisible bombs. Do you know about the invisible bombs? So now these terrorist organizations have developed invisible bombs that will get through metal detectors, any kind of screening device that's out there, and they brag about this. And now we just did a Twitter Spaces with Sarah Adams, and they are now bragging that what we know about the invisible bomb, it's now even more advanced than it was before. So that means they can get this into stadiums, they can get this into airports, they can get this pretty much anywhere they want, because you cannot detect it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Great.
So, for the people out there, look, there's no stopping what's here. You cannot stop this.
Nope, you can't roll it back.
Not
you can't
with
put
what
the genie
we
back
have
in the bottle.
Already in here. We have sleeper cells.
Yep.
We're already getting reports that I just lost my train of thought. Oh, we're already getting some reports that there may be a bit more involved in the Louisiana, New Orleans attack that they're not releasing. We also, I'll tell you this, there's a group of people flying around and basically briefing up different departments, governors about what's coming, how to deal with it in their communities. Start calling your congressmen. Get these guys to do something.
Yeah.
Start calling your senators. Get these guys to do something. They have been warned for over a year that this is coming, and nobody wants to take it seriously. Nobody wants to take it seriously. We contacted the House of Foreign Affairs Committee. They did like a Zoom call. A Zoom call.
Yeah, that's
just for a little media hit. Our government is failing us. And so it's in our hands now. It's your kids, it's your wife, it's your husband, it's your parents that are going to pay the price for what we have installed in this country. And it's now up to us, because they aren't going to do anything.
An unfortunate FBI headquarters building and open it up as a museum of the deep state the next day.
Do it.
Правда назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, снэп на гаяк. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя. Так дайте пацанам